Hello, it's Tristan here from ZebraInvest, and today I'm going to be running through how you can find short lease flats and calculate lease extensions. We're going to jump right in, show you exactly how you can find investment opportunities that you could crack on with in your area. We're going to head through, find stuff where it's got low leases. We're going to find them, refine the searches. We're going to alter it. We're going to work out how to just find flats, look at properties where we turn 1 beds to 2 beds and possibly 50 metres squared. So we're tying different property investment strategies all together in one place to maximise the uplift you're going to get. So what I'm going to do is head straight into this and show you exactly how you can find opportunities for yourself. So if you head over to Chrome, and the reason I use Chrome is that way you can get your plugins working in the background. So if you've got something like property data, you can head in and find these opportunities. So the simplest and easiest way to be able to find deals is heading into Zoopla. This way you don't need to be paying for it and you can quickly find deals. So what we're going to do is head over to London. This is an area with tons of short lease properties where lots of houses in the past would have been split from an old large house into a flat upstairs and a flat downstairs. What we do is we're going to refine this straight down to flats, so you're only finding flats. The other bit that I want to do is make sure that we're not looking at any new build properties and we're not looking at any shared ownership, retirement either. We're going to leave out the auction stuff as well because we want to be able to negotiate this a little bit more onto our terms. And we're also going to want to have leasehold. We'll go with show all rather than leasehold because sometimes people and agents don't actually put the filters in correctly. So we're going to put those in, and then what we've got down here at the bottom here is keywords. So if you haven't seen this before, it's quite a neat way to be able to get the Zoopla to help find motivated sellers. So if we do by putting in low lease, it sometimes means that people are going to be able to put properties on here where they've got short leases or low leases, and it's just the way that you can by listing those properties. I'm going to change this as well, so you can see we've had 100 properties come up there, or just a little bit less. If we then go here and we put in short lease, and there you can see there's another 44 there as well. So you can see there's quite a few other stuff where it's just saying it's cash buyers only. So the other bit that you can do as well is just by simply taking this one last filter, and what we can do is we can change it just to cash buyers. This is likely to flag up quite a few more properties, but you're going to have to, when you go through, try and make sure you're only looking at flats that are a little bit older, a little bit more tired, because cash buyers on some of these higher rise buildings can also be because they've got problems with insulation and PIR and things. You've only got to think about like Grenfell to get a good idea for what I mean there. So in here, just by going through here, we've managed to find another short lease flat. It's going to tell us roughly how long the leases are, any details about the property here, low lease. And you can go off and work out the details, call them up, find out a little bit more information on it. Again, here we've got another flat that's upstairs, 63 years remaining on the lease. And as we go through, you don't know the gist, but you can see this is a simple way just to be able to pick up and find those cash buyer onlys, low lease and short lease properties. It's a really simple way of doing it without needing any piece of software. But what I want to jump over and show you is property data. Property data is probably my favourite piece of kit for going out and finding investment opportunities. Not necessarily the best of what we're looking to do here, but I'm going to jump into Property Filter at the end and you can see exactly how you can find those deals, and we'll even calculate some lease extensions at the end as well. But property data, you head in, you quickly go down to source, click on market, and then you're going to come down here and you will find short lease, just here on the right hand side, and they base it on properties where they've got any leases where they're less than 80 years on it. So we're just going to log in here, and it wants me to go back, and we'll just put in, so it has to be 17 EQD, which is where I used to live a few years ago, and then you could just search that area, and now it's going to return any properties where it's matching with those kind of properties. You can see here again all these lovely kind of properties, and you filter through them, work out what's going to work for you, and find investment opportunities. Lovely 2-bed flat here, and again it's going to say how big the property is, 52 square meters, how long what the service charge is, and how long they've got on here. But it's a nice little deal there, possibly. And that's how you can quickly go through and find them all. On here as well is quite good. I like using software the same way I do normally. You can also save and set up email alerts, so you can get emails come straight through to you whenever a shortlease flat matches and is found within your investment patch. You can also link this and combine it with another strategy. So you can turn around and say, okay, I want to do stuff where I also want them shortlease flats, we can turn them from 1 beds to 2 beds, combine the two together, and then it's then going to work through and try and find those properties for you. Like this one here in Peckham, we're at 69 square metres, quite a large property. You can see it's got a bedroom there, kitchen here, but it could also be that you might be able to, with that large living space there, that's just shy of probably about 18 square metres, where you might be able to put the kitchen into that space, create a kitchen living space. That will allow the kitchen to become a bedroom as well. So then you've suddenly been able to lift it from a 1 bed to a 2 bed in one way, and you've also been able to extend the lease at the same time, whilst possibly a bit of a refurbishment to the property to make it a little bit more luxurious that someone actually wants to live there. But looking at this, it's also got a flight of stairs going to the loft, which could mean there's something a little bit more added space there you might be able to do something with. But the next bit is, I think this is a real game changer when it comes to looking for short lease properties, is Property Filter. At the same time with this, I'm also going to show you how you can use a lease extension calculator to be able to roughly work out what you want and where you can find these deals. So what you do is you head into the system and you've usually set up what's called a lead generator. So say, for example, we were just looking in London. We would go in and we would put in, say, SW17, and it's going to come up here. And what it's going to do is we then click Show More Postcodes. So we can show all the little areas and around here. So SW18, SW19, CR4, Streatham Hill, Balham, and Clapham Junction. We've got quite a few that all come up there, and that's a nice little area to be able to use as an investment area. So we then click Next on here on the bottom, and then that comes up with our strategy filter. So now we can choose what type of investment properties we're looking for. And here we are specifically looking for short leases. And then the next bit is we're going to just put short lease, SW London. So that's now going to return all properties in the area where they've got short leases. So you can see here it gives you the most motivated sellers coming up first, anyone where the property has had a sale that's already fallen through and the price has been reduced in the past. You can also see properties that are just back on market, so where sales previously fallen through and been put through again. And you can also do stuff where it's reduced, or stuff where it's just been sitting around in the market for a long time and is sitting there stagnant. Or you can find all of it all together. The other bit that's quite neat as well is you can look at stuff where it has been sold subject to contract and it's been sold sitting around for a long time because the sales dragging. It's sometimes quite good because then you can pick up the phone and target those people you want. And then there's all other good. You can jump into these, click into say this one here in Mitcham, and what it's going to do is also give us a little bit of information on that property. And you can see just down here on the right hand side who the freeholder is. You can see how long the lease is and how long is left on it. What we can do as well is use the My Leasehold lease extension calculator and put these two bits of data in together. So what I'm doing here is just splitting my screen, and you can see here it says we've got 57 years left on the lease, and it's got long lease value, and we don't know what the ground rent is at the moment, but I'm going to say £100 just for a good idea. And then the other bit is we want to work out how much this property will be worth. So it's a 3-bedroom flat. We can quickly just click into the comparables and have a look to see what others are worth in the area. Unfortunately, it's only picking up this one property in the area for the moment. So the best way to do it would be just to then head on to Rightmove, Zoopla and work it out. I'm going to say, just estimating, the long lease value on this might be £450,000. So this quickly then gives us a lease extension value of £56,000 to £77,000. Typically, when I'm using a calculator online, because they're not always going to be the most accurate, I'd probably put a number in that's in between the two to be able to work it out. So we could arguably say that this £310,000 property, once we've paid for our lease extension, it could be worth £450,000, and with a lease extension there of say £60,000, that there's quite a bit of uplift there. That brings us to probably about, I'm now trying to do the number off the top of my head, about £80,000 of uplift, if that is the right number. But what you want to do is use Property Filter to be actually whittle through and find more deals in a slightly more accurate way. So when we open up the filters, we can change our search and change our template. So what I'm going to do is go back in and I'll show you my Southwest short lease flats. got it here. And what we're going to do is we're going to change the filters. So what I want to do is just make sure that we're always looking for flats. I don't want new build flats, and so I'm going to go with anything where it's, I will go with freehold, leasehold or unknown, because sometimes agents don't enter the information correctly. And then what we're going to do is we don't want anything that's retirement. So we're happy with property purpose. We'll go with all of them. We don't want shared ownership that's already hidden. We don't want care home, retirement homes. We're happy with listed buildings. We want an existing build, so not a new build, and we're happy with auctions. I'm not going to include auctions because I don't particularly want them for this kind of strategy. So now this means that we're only going to be returning short lease flats. And it's going to whittle down the filters, so you do end up having a few less properties coming up because it is based on slightly more strict criteria. But again, you can go through, click through, and find those opportunities to then dig into and work out what's going on. It's quite interesting here. They put it on originally for 350, drops it to 315. It then drops to 265, and then now at 280. So we know that we're still going to be able to buy this property for 265,000 because they've had that price up and online in the past. The other bit is we just look at the property, see how big the property is. This one's 60 square meters, so it is already a nice 2-bedroom flat. Again, if you then look for comparables, you can work out roughly how much that property is worth. There's quite a few coming up here, and it seems to be that they're saying it's around about £280,000, and that's what this is on for. So if you can negotiate that price down, then there's going to be hopefully a bit more of a margin in there for you as well. But what I said before was that you can also use properties to filter to combine this to be able to find, say, 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms. So if we head back to our lead generator here, and we go to our lead generator, this time around we go to the advanced filters. And what we're going to do slightly differently is go through and we're going to look at the property information and add a minimum area. So a 2-bedroom property flat really converts nicely, typically out of anything that's 50 meters squared. And we're also going to want to make sure, because we're trying to go from 1 bedrooms to 2 bedrooms, we only want to have 1 bedroom in these properties as well. So we'll set this at the top. 1 bedroom, we're going to go with maximum of 1 bedroom. So we've now got a minimum of 50 bedrooms, 50 square meters, and a maximum of 1 bedroom. So what this should do now is it's going to ask us to change the lead generator, and this is now going to find us where we can go from 1 bedroom to 2 bedroom. So hopefully when we open up these short lease flats that are coming up here, we've got all of the properties that are available that kind of suit that. This one here in Kingston Vale, we'll open that up. You can see they've had originally just shy of £400,000. They've had a sale agreed, sales fallen out of bed, been marketed for a while, hasn't sold. Now it's been advertised 400, 35, 353, 25, 300,000. So they've already knocked 25% off this property. Now, when we look at the property, we're trying to look at our property to see whether we might be able to convert it from 1 bedroom to 2 bedrooms. One of the most important things with this is bedrooms are always going to need natural light. And you're going to have to think how we can possibly get that into this property. So when you're looking at this, it could be, for example, that we somehow pull a hallway out here, so we can somehow get the kitchen space in. Is there any way we can rearrange where that bathroom is? So then if we made the space bigger on the side, and then we can somehow keep the kitchen here, we can put the bedroom there. Trying to think about how else you can use this space to rearrange it. I'm going to say this is probably a good deal just based on the number of price reductions that have happened to it, but it's not necessarily going to be the one for converting. But now we can go back through and see other properties as well. So this one's just an SW15, so we're over, probably not too far from Putney, 50 square meters here, and here you can see it's got a nice reception room, bedroom, it's got this odd-shaped bathroom down the back here, and then it's got a kitchen at the back. That's a 15 square meter kitchen, which isn't going to be quite the right size for having a nice living space. But what we could do is, if we have a look through, you clearly need a new kitchen, a bit tired there, and that hallway with the odd-shaped angles is a bit weird. Maybe we can make the bathroom smaller. It's quite, by the look of things to me, an oversized bathroom. The window is colossal. If you could move the toilet and sink onto here, you'd be able to give an extra metre, possibly into the front kitchen. So if you move that to there, you could move that space and add more space into Oakville Road, into the kitchen living space. And then hopefully that would then become a nice 2-bedroom flat. Let's have a look, see what else they've given us as well here. We've got another one here on Marmion. This is coming out quite expensive, SW11, so we are now in Battersea. Starts off at 600,000. It's had a small price reduction. I'm going to hazard a guess, and then you just drop the price slightly to try and encourage a bit more interest. But when we open this up, it's got a cellar in it. It's not really the kind of space that you're going to be able to add huge amount of value by reconfiguring. But what you could do in this property, the plan extend sideways and possibly use some of that garden space inside the property, as well as doing the lease extension to lift the property's value up. So there's a couple of interesting opportunities there. So if you're tempted to head over to Property Filter, I'm going to include a link in the below. So you can then head over there, try it out, start finding short lease flats that you can invest in. My discount code is Tristan. That'll give you 50% off your first month. If you fancy using property data instead, you can head over to there and use my other link. I'll be included in below. And the discount code there is ZEB. And hopefully that's going to help you find short lease flats that you can turn from 1 beds to 2 beds, add a whole load of value. So this is the final episode in my short lease flat series. Hopefully you found this whole series really useful, and hopefully it helps you investing in your property portfolio. Cheers, guys.